I wish they all did. we are going to go into executive session. That was easy.
May I ask to turn it off?
Sorry, Larry.
Yeah, I'm getting a little sign up.
He's getting all signed up.
Take some deadline.
Very working.
So Max is doing the parking lot now in the summer?
Whenever you're ready, Brian.
Mark,
All right,
Max is doing the parking lot now?
we'll call the meeting back to order. We just had an executive session which was regarding the school safety issues. Next item on our agenda is under business and finance. And we're gonna get an update on the state budget, which I have a feeling there's nothing to update.
Right, there really isn't. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the news, the Democrat controlled state house did pass a expanded version of Governor Shapiro's budget. It added millions of dollars for the state education system, but the reality is we know that's not going to stay. Last I heard is we're probably looking at like an August, possible passage of the budget. And again, I think it's important to know, that does affect us. We get around 2.7 million in state revenue for the months of July and August. We are in a decent cash flow position right now. And that's one of the reasons why, we want to keep making sure we do get those tax bills out on July 1st, because that is what will keep us afloat for those 2 months. But, they really need to get down and get that job done. We have to get our budget done. So,
Can we charge them interest and penalties?
right, yeah. So again, there's
It's not
really
like they would do that to us.
Right. Nothing new. I mean, and the only other thing that kind of struck me from totally a finance standpoint, and I think there's tons of bills that come out relating to education, but was House Bill 405, which they just sent to committee, so it may or may not pass, but that's where a person that lives on a border can pick which district they want to be taxed in. So I thought that, that could have an interesting effect on us. Especially because obviously Central's millage rate is lower than ours, and, people that live on that border may choose to go there.
Well, sure.
So-
Well, wait a minute. But they're not, their kids aren't going there, right?
No, that's the piece that's only about where you're taxed. You can decide where you're taxed, so where your property's assessed. So again, it's very preliminary, but I just thought that was kind of interesting with the dynamics of where we sit in comparison to some other districts with our millage.
I would think
So-
that's not gonna go anywhere.
Right. I would hope not, but I'm just saying if you talk to that's something I would keep in the back of your mind, that we probably want to, when you get the ear of the legislators, that's kind of what you want to be saying is, hey, how can that be getting passed? So, that's really all that I have.
Who's the legislative person?
You are.
Is that me? Scott?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
I saw that, that's why I
Yeah,
asked, I
right,
thought, well, I don't think.
You wanna give us an update on that, Rich?
No, Jason didn't officially appoint me to that.
Yes, he did. It's in the
Don't take
minutes.
up from me, you don't
It's in the
remember
minutes,
that.
man. It's in the minutes.
Hey, Jason, you don't even know what we're talking about.
I know exactly what.
Okay. All right, I'll go press that.
It was unanimous. We all wanted you in that position.
I'll send out an email or something.
Okay. Any questions on that from Mrs. Weaver? All right. If not, we'll get on to the buildings and grounds portion of the meeting. First item on the agenda for that is an update on the stadium press box project.
And before Mr. Hoover gets started, I just want you to know, we did literally at 4 o'clock add something to the agenda.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, and Mr. Shelley, I didn't put your copy there. It's still on the printer. It's on my printer in the business office.
Mark's going.
Oh.
Mark's going.
So there was something added, we just got it today, and
Is it good news?
I will turn it over to Mr. Hoover at that point. But I just want you to know, there is something in agenda manager, no, it was not there until 4 o'clock.
You want to wait, it's like,
Does it save us money or cost us money?
what do you think?
Whenever we talk to Mr. Hoover, we know it's gonna cost us
You
money.
can probably start talking.
When's Chris Gibbons coming back?
I literally just had a call with him yesterday, so he wasn't in the office.
Chris
So-
Gibbons always gives money for us.
Thanks, Mark. I'm really sorry. I printed that from Mr. Shelley, and I totally forgot the language. No, one copy's for me. And thanks.
Okay, Mr. Hoover,
So quick background, if you remember, we were looking at a press box. We came to you back in January with a 6.5 by 30-foot press box. At that point, they were telling us we had to do a lot of work on understructure and everything else. That press box had no camera platform. It was also smaller than what we have now because you have to have a platform to get into the, you had a platform to get into the press box. So we went back to them and say, okay, what if we went to more of a standard size press box? And also we hired the engineer to come in and look at the understructure to make sure it would support a press box. So that was the other argument that they were telling us that would not support, what we had would not support a press box. So met with Mr. Knob and the engineer and the Stadium Solutions who provides the press box, talked about what athletics felt they needed as a press box. So conversation came out that they want a 10, or they felt a 10 by 36 press box with a camera deck is what they need to support athletics. So
What size is the box that's in now?
the box is 6.5 by 36. But yeah, the inside portion of that is only 12 feet.
The inside's too small.
The inside is only 12 feet, and you have the two platforms on either side are 12 feet each.
What's the depth of it?
6 feet.
I haven't been in there in years.
So the thing was, they were requesting that deck for the cameras. That's your video platform. Plus, I think coaches go up there.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, they do.
And they wanted separation between your scorekeepers and timekeeper, the scoreboard, and coaches that are on either side. So we had, this new press box would have 3 basically rooms that were separated, and then it also had an access point to the roof, which would be like a shipboard ladder. So instead of a straight up ladder, it's more of an angled ladder. So you really couldn't do all that and fit it in a 6-foot box. I mean, there would be no way to get around the ladder. So that's why it came out to be the 10 by 36. So long story short, came back, got the price, the understructure. The price did come in higher. Of course, we're going to a bigger press box. The 6 by 6 by 30 was $227,000. A 10 by 36 with roof access, which is 360 square feet, plus your camera deck, came in at $273,900. Now that also includes, if you're looking at our bleachers, to get into the press box, you basically have to stand on bleacher seats, right? You lose 4, 5, maybe 6 seats, because that's where the steps go up and in. This design has a platform off to the left, and so looking at the press box, you install a 10 by 12 landing. So as you're coming up the steps, the natural steps, you actually step right up, you walk up onto the platform, and then that's how you get into the press box.
You gotta put a new superstructure under that.
And that adds two more pillars. So you have to add 2 pillars for that. And plus, since basically your I-beams that go across that your press box sits on, because they're 6 foot, you have to extend them to 10 foot. So you're making them 10 foot. So yes, there's some, either way, we would have to modify part of the infrastructure to support a press box. If you look at what it costs to build a custom press box, what the first one would be, you were looking at $1,164 per square foot. That's what a custom press box, and that would be the 6 by 6 by 30 with a 7-foot platform on the side. For this 10 by 36 press box, it's $760 per square foot. So it's cheaper, square foot wise, more expensive, but you're getting a bigger box, you're getting a camera deck, you're getting a landing platform, you're getting what a press box should be.
Guess it was
Should I
right.
sum that all up?
Cost of the
Okay.
rancher.
Joe or Teresa or Dr. Nathan or Teresa, is there something, anything that I missed or?
No, that, if you recall back in September, we had ELA Sport here, and their quote was about $280,000. So this quote is right within the ballpark of what we were looking at back in September when another group gave us an estimate as well.
And we still can't have it ready by football time.
No, we looked at, if, let's say we approved this in August, you're looking at, we figured 6 months.
So you're gonna have enough for this season next
We'd
season?
have, we could be installing it in February of 2024.
Now,
So we'd have the time for spring.
part of this quote is like $16,000 to dispose of what's there.
Now, you brought up a good point, we could pull that out.
Yes. We got some.
Well, because we're looking at, your public services said they will pay for a disposal. So we could save 16,000 by pulling that out.
Well, they don't pay for demolition, do they?
They include demolition in this.
Okay.
We can demo it, my guys are probably enjoying doing that.
They probably had fun.
They, I was gonna say,
We should have a workshop.
It's more fun to tear something down than
Have a
build
board
it.
workshop, go up there with
You
some
could.
sledgehammers.
Yeah, we can all do it.
And it says 19,000 per color if you want to, if they paint it.
Yeah, needless to say, if we want different
If
colors, I
the
think
question
we
was-
painted ourselves.
The question was, you know, if you want to try to match the pavilion, that blue and
Yeah.
gold pavilion, that's custom colors. So if you went blue and gold, you're looking at $38,000.
Yeah, I'll bet you we could paint it ourselves cheaper.
So you'd nice tan color.
They had a color match at Home Depot.
You get it.
I mean, here's my take on it. We obviously, we need a new press box. We need one. You're saying that's about the going rate of what it's gonna be, and it's just gonna last you about 30 years probably?
I mean, you're putting up a structure that's built for foot level.
I mean, part of me regrets, I remember when I was first on the board, I think that one up there cost us about 10 grand when Votech built it. But we had a price for 75,000 that we didn't do because we could get one built for 10. I think if we would have paid the 75 grand, we wouldn't be sitting here.
It'll still be good.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't let, that's a lot of money. I'm agreeing with you, that's like buying a house. But,
You didn't get a driveway or a
but,
pool?
I mean, unless somebody has a different idea, I mean,
Well,
we definitely need, I mean, from what they're saying, this one will get by this year, but like, you know, and you got, I mean, I've never been to a stadium that didn't have a press box, like, you gotta have one.
Well,
The 8 by 30 was 250 something, wasn't it?
$15,000 left.
There's a 50.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna tell me that was
$15,000
100 grand for that, I'd say, well, we can make that work,
Right,
but
but-
if you're telling me there's no small, I mean,
If you go smaller than that, now you're getting back into the custom build.
see, I
Most
think.
modulars are 8 by 36, 8 by 48, 10 by 36.
and you're still gonna spend what on those?
Well, you're spending more,
I
you
think
look
this-
at 227,000, but you're not getting a camera deck.
Yeah.
You're not getting 2 coaches box, you're only getting 1.
To go cheaper to save money, we're gonna lose a lot
I,
less than that.
I'm agreeing, you know.
I'm not crazy about the price either. I can't make an argument against it, you know, to do something else that.
That's what I'm saying, does anybody have a better idea?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm a little concerned about on this, Todd, and I can't speak to it at all that stuff in there that you see that has the qualifications of that, we're doing this and this, and that, I can't speak to any of that. I don't think any of the board members are qualified to do that. Is there somebody, I'm sure there's a licensed engineer that's gonna sign off on the whole thing? I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
part of the
Oh, yeah.
package, the whole,
This includes the drawings, the licensing, everything. Now, it won't include a permit, then we'll have to go back to our Windsor and get
Right,
a
yeah.
zoning permit, but construction permit, you won't need a zoning permit, you'll need a construction, which is a third party, so.
So this is a 6-month project.
It's not a 6 month, well, it'll go up probably in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a 6 month lead time,
Oh, lead.
6 months to get it. So
So-
we'll have a press box for 6 months. but-
So when, can we put it on the agenda for Thursday, or, I mean, I don't.
there's nothing gonna change between now
Is
and.
this gonna go up?
Anybody can ask.
Well, we answer this one, how you funding it?
What was that?
How you funding it?
Teresa?
Obviously,
Yeah,
I would assume this is coming out of capital.
Yeah, I mean, you could either take that out of your capital reserve that has about 1.8, or your capital construction that you have put aside for your building project, which is at 3.2. So either one of those funds could be used. But yeah, that would be your only place to
When
change.
do we argue about that?
We don't argue, we discuss.
Well, are you, like, if we approve it, then can we decide how we're gonna pay for it, or do we need that at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, again.
I think it would be to your recommendation.
Yeah, I mean,
would agree.
again, either one of those funds, there's really no, I mean, you know, I'm never gonna recommend you to borrow this money when interest rates are as high as they are when you have, you know, $4 million sitting there. So, I mean, my recommendation is gonna change, it's just a matter of, do you wanna, you know, we still aren't know where we're at with the building project yet, 3.2 million there.
The interest that we're
Yeah.
making on some of our stuff right now has already been slated for other stuff, correct?
Yeah, in theory, all our interest is set aside for our general operating budget. You know, so you have your capital reserve fund, I mean, that's typically where we would do a project like this, but, you know, between now and Thursday, I could come up with, if I think capital construction is better or capital reserve, I just kind of been playing with that in my head a little bit today, really late in the day.
Our strategy this evening was just to bring it before you and let you see a price because of the timing that we received. And then if it's the board's desire to do something for Thursday night, we'll need that direction, and then we'll just have to figure out how the funding of the project will take place.
Todd, is there any advantage or disadvantage to having this on the agenda for Thursday versus August?
You'll go, what, 2 months sooner maybe?
Well, the price,
Delivery sooner?
Well, again, 24 weeks, 6 months. So you're not getting for football season no matter what.
But yeah, I'm thinking
Well,
more.
also,
you just get it.
this price is only valid for 30 days.
that was, yeah, it's only valid for 30 days if we don't meet in July.
I think that's.
And what's gonna be different in August?
Yeah,
Nothing except my cost more than that.
yeah, I just went ahead and I don't wanna, I'm sorry, somebody's asked a question now.
I got a question or two, and then I have an opinion. Well, the question first, what is this gonna do for us? You know, we're spending, what are we, what's the school or a sports team, or what's the advantage of doing it? What's it gonna do for us?
The only thing I know is they said the old ones, you're not gonna be able to use much. They just said you're not gonna be able to use the old one very much longer.
Safety.
That's what I was told. I mean, if we can get more out of the old one,
We've been told,
Well-
Mr. Shelley, we've been told that there's a safety issue with the existing press box.
Well, then get it condemned.
Well, that's what we're doing.
No, you're,
We'll replace it, right?
yeah, you don't have it condemned though. You know.
Well, it's gonna be
All
demolished.
I'm saying is that, you know, it's a press box, okay. It's for the press to go up there and our storekeeper, right?
And the other team's coaches, and our camera people.
And our kids go up there.
You shouldn't.
Well,
They do in the
I-
press
I-
box,
I-
they're assisting those.
that kind of expenditure, I just can't. I don't see, you know, we talk about the press, heck, you'd be lucky to get, in a year or two, there won't be any newspapers around, any local. It's coming, guys. It's coming, it's almost here.
Don't do it.
Anyhow, that's my opinion. The other thing is, I don't know what we're getting for that kind of money.
It's gonna pass us.
I can't support it.
So you're making a suggestion, Mr. Shelley, you're making a suggestion that the current press box has the ability to be refurbed as opposed to replaced?
No, I didn't say that. You said that.
I'm just asking,
Well,
when you're suggesting,
I think we need more alternatives.
okay, so you're looking for an alternative.
You know, that's an awful price, an awful
I agree it's a high price. I don't disagree.
price. You know, and I just don't see the value in it. You know, do we have to, you know, if the press isn't here, then what are we gonna call it? I'm just saying, things are changing, but that's too much money.
Any other comments, questions?
The alternative would be drones.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment, just based on the next item, about when you asked, you know, does it make sense, again, whether you approve it now or in August, I do know, and I'll ask Mr. Keller probably to talk, but we do have an item on there about a donation from Republic Service for $5,000 plus the disposal. They have shared that there is a possibility that they would donate more. Mr. Keller, is that correct, or?
Correct. They have two different sources of funding out of their general operating budget at this facility, which is where this is coming from. And then once things will be approved, I can apply for a grant through their National Public Services Program, which could be substantially more, but I can't commit to anything until.
And again, the board would have to obviously approve it and want it outside of that grant
Got it.
before we get it, but I just want to bring that up. And then obviously there's a little more to the grant and then wanting some sponsorship, so I know it's a
I'm
bigger,
shocked.
I know it's a bigger comment, but I just wanted you to know, like, there is a possibility
My
that this
comment,
is
yeah, may I comment? Because my comment, I tried to put words in Mr. Shelley's mouth.
Pardon?
I tried to put words in your mouth, but I'll say it myself. I mean, we've only discussed the option of replacement. We replace with this size or this size. We have never had a conversation about what it would take to rebuild the one we have and extend the life of what we have. And so for 200 and some grand, I think it'd be a worthy conversation to have someone look at it as to how do you extend the life of what you got.
We can do that. You're looking at reconstructed, it's rotted. The 2x4s are rotted out, so we're gonna have to deconstruct it and reconstruct it.
You know, and if you reconstructed it for 100,000, you saved 150,000.
It's true.
But you're still gonna have to, we
So-
have to bring in a general contractor in or somebody to give a
I
price.
agree, we already spent thousands of dollars on engineers, and so I'm just kicking this can down the road just a little bit further for a little extra money back in the pocket. So my suggestion is that, it's up to the rest of the board members whether they want to push you along to do that, but that's my recommendation, is we look at how do we extend this one.
Mr. Lynch, I'm sorry, I just didn't pick up what your recommendation was.
That's fine. Which
Well,
part?
I'm not knocking it, I just don't know.
I didn't hear it either.
I think what Mr. Lentz is saying is, could we look at seeing what this press box needs to get fixed up? And even if it costs $100,000 to fix this press box up, you're saving $170,000. That's what he just mentioned.
And that's looked at another option, that
Yeah.
when we had this first proposal, the Lancaster, and you mentioned it, we all laughed at that price.
When it was way back when it was 75,000. Yeah. I remember it was 75 grand and we,
No, that's in my head.
yeah, I remember it was
We
75,000.
said, no way,
Yeah,
no
and
way.
we had VOTech build it, and I think VOTech built it for about, I think it cost us like 10 grand. Yeah, so I just said to Dr. Mancuso, they can build us 10 press boxes for, I mean, hey, I am all for, like, we have to have a press box. You know me, like, I've never seen a stadium that didn't have a press box. I'm agreeing though, 200 and some grand is a ton, that if we could even,
It's a ton without an option.
Right.
So we're only looking at one view of this, and that was get rid of what we have and get something new.
Todd, with that recommendation that's thrown out here, what does that mean? Can you hear me, Mr. Shelley?
Sometimes.
When he wants to.
No.
With the recommendation that's sent out, that was thrown out, what do you feel what is the cause and effect of us now asking to rebuild the old one for timing? And what is your thought for doing that? Because this requires new structure underneath of the press box. The question that I'm thinking is, unless you guys know the press box issue better than I do, Jason.
No, I don't.
Well,
know.
the question is, we will not be able to increase the size. It has to stay the same size.
I don't think that's a huge issue.
Maybe, I don't know. But I guess what's the implication of that, of rebuilding? What
The
does that
feedback
mean?
I got, that is a big issue. I've been
Well,
told
the
many
inside,
things.
I agree that the inside is too small.
Well,
They've
I've
been dealing
also,
with it for 10
I've also
years.
got feedback that we can't get in the roof, so we don't have any room for the camera crews. It's too crowded. The
Well,
only
I
place
don't
but
agree
the
with
camera.
that. I don't agree with
That's
that
the-
at all. I've been to the football games. Those side things that those coaches are out there on with cameras and coaches is plenty big for them. The only people that don't have enough room are the guys inside. That I will tell you, the coaching boxes are definitely big enough for those coaches and the camera
But see,
guys.
that's what was driving us looking at this. I was told we have to have a camera there. That's what I was.
Oh, no,
that's
and
where
I
was-
agree with that on
yeah.
a new one.
So we were looking at,
But what they
okay,
have now is big enough for the coaches and the camera guys. I mean,
I'm
would
all
you say
for
I'm
it.
wrong?
I'll go out and get a general contractor up and get a price to rebuild it and hopefully rebuild it right, so it's actually watertight, because right now this one's not watertight, that's why it leaked.
And if you are here, I mean, you're more of a I'm not a construction person. If you just think it couldn't be done,
It's gonna be tough work, because you're gonna reconstruct this, but they're gonna put scaffolding up. I mean, you're gonna have to get somebody in, they're gonna have to work off scaffolding, because you're gonna rebuild it.
But it's not gonna
But-
cost
No,
$270.
not gonna
Todd
cost
makes a good point.
73. I
if
agree
you get
with-
somebody to do it for
yeah.
$100,000
Might be quicker.
and rebuild it and do it the right way, we just say, I mean, even if it's 150, you saved 120 some grand. I'm not arguing with it, I'm just saying, I think he makes a good point.
And I'm not arguing with you, I mean,
No, I know you're
all the direction I ever got was we gotta replace the press box.
I
So
know,
that's
and
where
I think
I
we didn't
replaced
realize
the
it was
press
gonna
box,
be
yeah.
273,000 either. And Todd, and I want you to be, like, tell me why we shouldn't do it that way. If you say, no way, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard of, you can't do it,
No, I mean,
tell me that. You would know, I wouldn't.
I work construction, and you're pretty, I think you're to the point, you're pretty much gonna have to deconstruct your press box.
And build it.
And rebuild it. And
When do you
you're gonna
think
have to, I mean, I don't think there's a stop point. I think once you start tearing parts out, you're gonna
Yeah.
find more and more and more.
And that,
So you're-
and again, I'm.
It's probably gonna be a lot
I'm
cheaper.
of the
Yeah.
belief that you could probably tear it down to
I agree.
the last nail and build it back up there, and it's
In a
gonna
month.
be cheaper than what you get.
Todd, I agree with you wholeheartedly, because it's gonna be wood construction, but, you know, we wanna hire the right person, we don't want,
Oh, yeah,
having
you don't
kids
want
from your
Jim
coach
Smith
say, Holly,
down,
it was a
something.
good experience for them, but the problem is they weren't experienced enough.
Correct.
So they didn't know how to
Well, it
waterproof
should have
it.
been sheeted in tin as opposed to just leaving it exposed wood, right?
They should have waterproofed it, I mean, where they capped the windows, there was, you know, so the boards were up there, so the water runs right down in there.
And I know the guy keeping the clock, the way the windows are in there, he
Yeah.
can't even see the whole field. Like, I've heard that. Like, if they're down at the one end zone, the way they did the windows, you can't even see. You gotta like
The
look out the
only thing
windows.
we might run into is because, come here, we're commercial, we gotta do commercial construction. We may have to get an engineered drawing, or I'll try to pull the original drawings, which we have. And if we build it to what we already have, when we go back to code administrators, say, here's the drawings. Here's a stamp, because they're gonna want stamped drawings. And hopefully none of the code stuff has changed between now and then. If we leave the platform there, we're in good shape, because that's already anchored. That's a positive, we're not trying to crane something
Right.
up. It's just gonna be a lot of work, because you're working 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And it's not like when you build a house, you're working from the inside. You only have 6-foot area standing. All right, so you're trying to build a wall 8 foot up, you don't have a lot of room to work. They might build it on the ground and, you know, hoist it up, but that's, you know.
I can
It's
get
doable with a high reach and everything, yeah, I mean, I agree, but again, everything I was told up to this point was, we need a new press box, we need this, and this, and I'm fine with it. Because we originally went with the design, we brought, I think Mr. Oswald was here at that point, and we questioned that, because they wanted a coach area, so that's why you have the two open.
Yeah.
On
Well,
either side.
most of the press boxes I see, and the coaches aren't on the roof.
Yeah.
And on our old press box, remember, they did have roof access and then they shut it off, and that became a problem. So the roof is, I mean, you do have to have an area for the coaches, but I think that length would be big enough for everybody if it was designed properly. But, and I agree with you, we told you to get a price for a new press box, but again, I don't think that we really realized we were looking at $270,000.
Now, they're not cheap, I mean, you can
You know
look
what I
at the references, anybody that's put a press box in any school district, you're looking at 190 to 200,000.
And if
They're
we
not
could,
cheap.
and maybe I was thinking, because back when I first got on, we were looking at 75 grand for a press box. So I don't think I realized either it was gonna go up to 270. But I would support, I mean, obviously I'm gonna support whatever, because we need something. But I'm agreeing with Mr. Lentz, if we could do something and renovate it and make it last another 10, well, hopefully more than 10 years, but, and renovate it, I would be for that as well.
The only other thing you might run into is because there's really no general contractor like that, and I know that's on KPN or CoStarz, you might have to bid this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're
I was-
definitely bidding
I'm
it.
sure we had the bid, and that's not the
And
end.
now you're gonna have to bring somebody and do bid specs, and you're gonna need bid specs, bid specification. So we might actually have to get Crabtree to come in and write bid specification. Because when we had York County School of Technology, we didn't need that, we just had stamped architectural drawings, we didn't go out for bid. So we didn't have specifications. So you're gonna throw that little bit of cost in there, because someone's gonna have to lay it out.
Does like, and I know we had York Tech, but does Thaddeus Stevens do anything where they bring people on, kids on site to do that kind of stuff?
I don't know.
See, I heard it's possible they do that kind of stuff. I'm throwing it out there, I'm just throwing everything, because I know we had York Tech and they did it in there, and then we had to transport it over. And I agree, that was probably not the best thing we ever did,
I
but
mean, there's the Gordian Group, which is we can try to do it through that and see if they'd be willing to give us a price that's sort of like a KPN. I mean, it's easier to use KPN because it's pre-bid, they go off like a job book that already has all the pricing laid out, but because it's gonna be, if it's over $25,000, we're paying for prevailing wage, and we're doing a bid. So you're gonna pay for prevailing wage in this job too.
well, we're definitely, obviously, any way we go, we're not gonna have it for this season.
So it's probably, well, I don't know, if you go this route.
Oh, well, but I'm saying, but my point is it too much, like, can you check on this for us and then get back to us in August with?
I'm just gonna have to, I'm gonna check with the Easy Quote thing quick to see if they're interested in it. So it's a low bar, it's a builder. And see if we can do it off of that, because, I mean, they already have prevailing wage figured into that. If they won't, then we have to go out for bid. We'll have to figure out how you wanna do
Yeah,
that.
and we'll have to verify that with the solicitor.
But this is gonna be to August, so we can get back to you about anything, so it won't be ready for football season.
Well, we know that, but this won't be ready for football season either,
No.
it's no difference.
So,
This
Mr.
is
Lynn
not a
says
bad
I have
thing.
$100,000 budget. That's what I heard.
Say that again?
Mr. Lynn says I have $100,000 budget for a
Maybe.
new press box. Oh.
Yeah, I went up to 150.
I missed that.
Why don't we dig up that $75,000 bid?
Okay, so, I think, Mr. Hoover, you
I have
understand.
marching orders, yeah.
You have your marching orders, so we'll move on.
Well, let me, I didn't quite understand. Is this a CoStar's bid? Or how is this gonna go out for?
This one here is what's called KPN, Keystone Purchasing Network. It's something a little bit better than CoStar's. It's a bid thing. The one I'm thinking of is.
You're
through-
pointing to the 275.
That's this one. The one I'm thinking of is called Easy Quote. It's through what's called Gordian Group. It's a KPN, but it's the same thing. You say, I want to do this job. They have, have you ever heard of RS Means? You know, it's a book that has all the pricing already laid out for it. Basically, that's how they bid. You need a carpenter for X amount of hours, here's what the cost is. They'll take the project, and they'll pull each piece out of the little job book and put the job price. So that's, I can try low bar, but I kind of just involve this on the project. I'll need to come in or not.
But you're not gonna go open bid for,
If I can't do that, then we're gonna have to go open bid.
okay, and then you write out the RFQ and then
We have to do
RFP.
we have to do a bid specification with drawings. We'd have to bid it for 30 days. We have to have a open bid, sealed bids with a public opening.
Mr. Hoover.
That's the,
Yeah, regardless, it's actually not really changing the time frame of what we were looking at anyway. If we were to do this, nothing would be happening until next February.
is it, the last question is, I don't wanna say it's new ground, but in your opinion, do you anticipate if we go through all of this and rebuild rather than build new, that we're gonna be right up against this 273?
I don't think you'll be up against 273. I don't think if we get a good contractor and get it built right, it'll last.
That's important to me. That is important to me.
That's why the first press box didn't work. That was a bunch of good parents that came in, bought a press box that lasted for 10 or 15 years. It was fine, but the roof rotted out. That's why they couldn't open the roof anymore. It rotted out.
Oh, you mean the
old one? Yeah.
I don't know how they.
That was just stick construction built on top of the platform. The platform itself was the floor, so they just nailed 2x4s down and built walls up. That wasn't against code. They just built it.
You mean the one that we?
The
not
very,
before
very
this-
first, yeah.
That was there for a long time.
That was there for a long time. But, you know, you can't get away with that stuff anymore. I mean, that's the other thing. With being commercial, we follow all those commercial regulations. It makes it a little bit harder than if you're building something like this in your backyard, building a shed or something like that, even though you still got good building code. Now, I think it's like, I mean, I'm for it. I mean, I think we get somebody in, but it's not gonna be snap your fingers and have a contractor in your building. They're gonna have to do this
So,
sort of
so
stuff.
the unit that you had laid in front of us here at 270, whatever, is listed as a modular. And you also mentioned a little bit ago about building it on the ground and setting it up, which also would classify as a modular depending on where you build it. Right?
Build on site, and or also.
Or off-site, but if they build it off-site and it's a modular, then prevailing wage may not, but yet their pricing in their quote listed prevailing wage.
You gotta pay prevailing wage for
For the
installation.
installation.
Right, right.
So when you get your quote together, you may want to have that part of it broke out so you can see.
If that contractor can build it off-site. I mean, if he builds his walls off-site, brings them on site, you're absolutely right, they might still charge you prevailing wage and still build it in the shop.
But it's a huge savings for us if we can get some honest labor out of it, right?
Okay,
Nice job.
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
I guess we'll skip the next item.
No, I think,
Can we talk
I think
about
they'll
that?
still.
Will that still, will that
We're
still
still
apply?
demoing it, yeah, I think
Oh,
that
okay.
was the point, wasn't it, Mark?
I'll confirm with them that, you know, we might have to put up still be a new press box, but might.
Yeah, actually, why would they even, why would they even care? As far, we're just telling them, hey, we're taking that, we're demolishing the old press box.
For this component of it, it shouldn't be an issue. For the next component, it's gonna delay me applying for the grant to pay for, contract for the rest.
Okay. Is there anything you want to discuss about that, or?
Well, I don't know, do we just need board approval to put that donation, or do we just hold off?
Well, you know, on the
there's nothing-
donation, the issue is, so it's a donation, but they also want, again, it's not just as simple as you guys accepting the donation, because they wanted to add signage, so you have to consider, do you want to do that?
It depends on what and how big.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, what's this?
Right, yeah, so,
Right.
yeah, again,
If they're, right, if they're putting up a 40-foot banner over the stadium that says Republic Services, I don't think that'll be worth it.
right, because I mean, we, you know, OSS.
All you can
put
see is the E
scoreboard.
and the K off of each of the.
Yeah, so we just wanted to bring it to the board, because according to the policy, we should bring it to you to have some discussion first, so they didn't really, their email was pretty,
Correct.
I didn't really
The
say.
conversations I had when I met with them over there was they were looking at a sign like on the back at a corner or on the end. Is what they're doing, because if you do like their current one where it has home of the golden ice pin back, they'd probably be satisfied with the end, which, you know, everyone's coming walk down the hill is gonna see stuff, so.
So you want us to go back to them, find out exactly like what size they're looking at before
Yeah, I
we
think,
would give them a size?
I think we need specifics, and whatever they tell us they want to do, we need to tell them that the minimum is 10 grand for that.
I think what we
We're
needed to
selling the
know is you're
backside
not
of it for 100
opposed to it, like, so we just, if we come back with some more specifics on what they wanna do.
The one thing I would like to point out there, John, is they're looking at the 5 grand plus the demolition and removal of the old one, which was 16 grand in this proposal.
Oh, okay, I didn't,
So
I thought that was, their total was
No,
fine.
their net
On top of
gain would have been 21,000,
Oh, okay,
because it would take the 16 out plus the 5.
okay, got it.
Yeah, let's not be.
Jason, there, I think the school board needs to beware when they give a company or a corporation or a personal, anybody, the opportunity to place their name on one of our, whether it be gym, whether it be a press box, and I'm not sure what's going on, and how much money it would take, how much is offered, do we know?
That was
About 20 some odd thousand.
And it's gonna go up, possibly go up from there.
Well, it needs to go up. Let me tell you why. Is anybody here familiar with Hempfield's playgrounds over there? Who likes that raises the hair to the back of my head. The taxpayers paid for these things. Now, if somebody wants to donate a press box, put it up. You know, they did it, but to give, you know, I heard it was like 5,000, now it's 20. Well, that makes me think a little bit, but they're not. These things, even though they give $20,000, the taxpayers is paying the whole thing. Let's put their name up there. Please don't do that. Over there at Hempfield, they have a couple lawyers, this field, and all kinds of things. That's ridiculous. It really is. Go over and look at it and see if you like it. I don't. I think it's something you really got to look at. We pay for it, and we don't want to give, and especially some of these people, you know, all kind of people want to put their name on art, you know, at a price. You know, we agreed with the water company thing up there, and that, oh my. You know, I don't know why we ever agreed with that. You can't see it. Who can see it? Unless you stand right by on the bottom and look up in the water tank, you know.
You mean the logo?
Huh?
You mean the logo?
Yeah. All I'm saying is, it's, I don't know, I guess there would be time limits on this stuff, but, be careful, don't do that.
I mean, the board does have a policy that you know, I mean, you do have
Yes.
OSS already, you do have OSS on the scoreboards up there, so. Again, doesn't matter to me, we'll go back and get more specifics, then it is according to policy, the board would have to approve that and decide. So it would come back to the board before anything would be put up.
Is this a landfill wants to do this?
It's Republic.
It's Republic Services.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is
Republic,
landfill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I understand why, you know, I think,
Okay.
that doesn't turn me on.
I have a question. Do our students, are our students treated by OSS? Like, do they serve our students in the
Yeah,
sports program?
The sports, the sports stuff, yes.
Yeah, I
To
mean,
me,
we have,
that resonates more than a landfill company.
well, I mean, we pay for the OSS, we pay them for contracted trainer services, so we pay for that, the board's approved that contract. OSS does our physicals, we pay, you know, the board has approved all those contracts, they're
Yeah, they don't do it
outside.
for free.
Yeah, they're not done, it's not done for free, and that's outside of any sponsorship. So, I mean, when that contract's up, you could use somebody else to be your trainer, you could hire a trainer back in-house. So, yeah, they don't do it for free for our students.
Okay. So, we're not at the point where we have to make any decisions on that, right? Because, I mean, we can't even go to them until we know what we're putting up there. So, for now, we can discuss that at another time when that becomes an issue. Next item on the agenda, the middle school lobby carpet.
Yeah, this, if you've been up to the middle school, since you walk in the very front door, there's a stretch of red walk-off mat. This is a proposal to replace that carpet.
Okay. Questions, comments, or I assume you're looking to put this on the agenda for Thursday? Yeah.
Is this something that has to be bid out?
No,
No,
it's
it's
close
actually below that cost.
Can somebody explain to me what CoStars is?
The state, these are state-approved vendors that have agreed to provide a discount to state institutions. So if they're already in that program, we don't have to go to bid if we buy from one of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then this specific dollar amount is below that bid limit.
What's
What is it right now, Todd? Is it 11,000 or
It's
did
a
it
little
get?
bit higher.
Is it 12,000? I'll have to
I
follow.
think
up.
like 11.6 now.
Yeah, so it used to be very stagnant, it was 10,000 for years, and now it does move up with the CPI, Consumer Price Index, so I think it's at 11.6 or 12.1. I have to verify that, I have to look it up.
When doesn't change prevailing wage.
Yeah, but they have to change from now. I'm sorry, that's the quote limit, is 11,000, the bid limit's up higher than that, so. I check it whenever we have to do something, but this doesn't meet those guidelines.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I'll find it, I have to look it up every time I go to it. Changes every year.
Any other questions or comments about this? Sounds like we can put this on the agenda for Thursday then, Mrs. Weaver?
I did add that already, just so that it would be out
I
there.
thought you would.
There was just, I already added 2 things though, and then, no, we could pull it off. Didn't have a problem.
Okay. Next item on here, let's see, light bases?
Yeah, this is one of the capital projects we presented to the board back in, what was it, October, November, September timeframe. So I finally got the pricing to it. This is, if you go to the high school parking lot, at the base of every lamp post, you got that huge concrete pillar.
Yep.
This, some of them are starting to crack out over time. This is a proposal to go through and, doesn't address them all, it addresses the ones, there's some that need to actually be replaced. So I don't have a price on those yet. This is to catch up on, I think there's about 40 or 50 of them that they're going to basically, they'll pressure wash, they'll patch them, and then they'll seal them to keep the water from getting back inside the base. So this was the proposal to do those light posts. I'll have another proposal probably later in the year to do the repair work, which is a little bit more.
Is that the numbers, the ones in red, 1, 3, you're thinking of repairing or?
Yeah, those
replacing them
ones
together?
in red will be done later date because they need more extensive repairs. Some of them actually need replaced. They basically have to support the light post, tear the post out, and rebuild concrete underneath it.
Todd, how old are they?
2008,
2008. And they're from the old high school. They're from the new,
for new construction.
and that's the latest construction we have.
Yes.
You need to make 15
So that's what, 15 years?
15 years.
I agree.
15 years, Mr. Sheldon.
Well, I really wish I could bid on some of this work.
It-
That saved you money.
It seems that you last longer than that. I understand 1 or 2, but they're all going bad. Something's wrong. Did we have our engineer or anybody look at that?
Recently?
What's going on? Yeah.
No, not recently. I mean, back when they were installed, all the concrete was tested. It did all the tests and everything.
When they were installed?
When they were installed, I mean, the concrete was tested as required and everything, but I don't know why these just they didn't hold up.
Yeah, but there's,
This one out here in this parking lot, the Wrightsville has the same problem. These
But
are
they're not
not bad.
structurally bad,
Wrightsville
though, right?
are starting, they're not structurally.
It's just aesthetics,
They're
right?
just, you're starting to get water in them, so with more
that'll
water
tear
get
it
in,
up,
they're
yeah.
gonna start flowing, they're gonna start having a structural problem.
all I'm saying, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mr. Shaw.
Go ahead, Mr. Sheldon.
All I'm saying is something's wrong, and if we're gonna do the same thing that we did now, in 15 years, we're gonna do it again, hey.
Todd, I would recommend,
We
You already got-
need to find out what's wrong.
well, concrete cracks, okay? It just does. And 12 years is not uncommon to have cracked concrete, especially for high pressure
Well,
concrete.
that kind of stuff.
Well, what I would recommend is a polymer cement that be blown up in there.
They're doing that.
Is it in there?
Well, they're putting an elastomeric paint on all 42 light bases.
For all your cracks and stuff, I'll do it. For the stuff that's bad is a polymer cement, trowel it in, power wash, polymer cement, put it in there, grind out your cracks, put a high-end caulk in there, and then put a high-end, like they're doing here, for the caulk.
Looks like-
But not, no, what I'm talking about for the base part of it, it'll last a lot longer. The polymer, engineered polymer cement will last a lot longer.
For the ones we're replacing, if we have to replace.
You know, I'm talking about for the repair. You
Or
grind
the
out
ones
the
that
cracks.
repair, the ones that are really cracked out.
Yeah, because the polymer will stick to the base concrete a lot better, and engineered concrete will last longer. All right, never mind, never mind, the 12,000 is not a bad price.
It's not actually.
So just move to the board agenda for approval.
Yeah, everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, let's see, next item we have here is, update on your summer projects. They're all done now, right?
Mr. Shevlin, I do want to tell you the quote is 12,200. You
Yeah.
don't need to do anything up to 12,200. Between 12,200 and 22,500 is 3 quotes, and after 22,500 is the bid limits. Sorry.
So.
So this is the limit.
But,
Is this,
Somebody new.
over the limit?
12-2.
no, it's 12,200.
12,000.
12,200.
Okay, and that's what this bid is, right?
12,017.
Oh,
Okay.
geez,
Yeah.
I wonder if they knew
Most
that.
of the things we're getting are on a CoStar's contract anyway, so they're already bid.
Okay,
And sometimes stuff lower than 12,002, I still ask people to give me 3 quotes, because you'll see some things on the board agenda, and I always ask for 3 quotes.
Is there a number? How many you doing?
yeah, 42,
I think.
I think it was 40,
42.
42,
And there's 20, I think I counted 22.
is that right, Ty?
Sound about, yeah, sound about right.
42, yeah.
Says 42.
22 that has small cracks.
42, Mr. Sherman.
22.
No, I said power wash, I believe, is 42.
It's 42, Mr. Sherman.
42 at 12 grand a piece.
They're not a piece.
12. I was like, what's our press box?
And there's 22 that have small cracks and repairs.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so let's move on. Update on the summer project. I assume most of them are completed by now, Mr. Hoover?
Yeah, no. Middle school is, middle school wall sealing and pressure washing, that's complete. So that's been done. They did pressure wash the dock, Mr. Shelley.
Well,
They
it needs a
they
little paint
cannot,
now.
they can't get the rust out of the concrete though,
Yeah.
but that, everything else got pressure washed and cleaned at the middle school.
But you're gonna paint the dock, or the lift or whatever.
Good lift, if we can sit around the metal dock plate.
Yeah, if you don't, it's gonna be back the same way it is now, because it's rusted,
Right.
and the rust is coming through. It's fine to do that, and it does look better, but it needs painted like now. My opinion, you know.
No, it's good, and I mean, that one. Get that,
Because like I say, if it don't, it's gonna rust, it's gonna come right out the way it did.
So some of the summer projects we're looking at, these were all already board approved, so we discussed them before, but just to kind of give you an update again, what we're looking at. As you know, we're gonna be redoing the admin parking lot. We just repaired the cracks, we got the catch basin is starting to collapse on the inside, repair the catch basin. We're doing the same thing to the middle school bus parking lot, so that's the large parking lot where the buses park, crack seals. At the high school, there's catch basins, again, where, if you look at around the catch basin, this is where the rainwater collects, it's starting to collapse in around the outside. So they're gonna repair those. Wrightsville sidewalks getting ground, we had that discussion, I think, last month. We have 3 classrooms at Wrightsville, we're getting new flooring. The Canada Lockley, they just finished up installing all the video surveillance cameras at Canada Lockley. They're pulling the wire at the middle school, and we'll be starting the high school later in July. That'll wrap up all the new video cameras that was board approved, I think, last year as part of the safety upgrade. Finally got the panels in. I'm still waiting on the actuators for the Craig's Creek access control upgrade. I have the panels, I have every part, I just don't have the actuators to go to the doors that release the doors. Still waiting on those, but that should be finished before the students return. We're trying to catch up on some painting. We did not do a lot of painting at Craig's Creek and Canadockley over the last 15 years. We're anticipating replacing the building. But we kind of reached a point now where we can't let it go anymore. So we're, if you go down to Canadockley and you look at the white trim around the exterior doors, it's probably about 2 feet deep. All that's wood. Having that repainted because it's starting to really show its wear. Some of it's actually starting to come apart, so we have to repair it. Doing some of the hallways at Canadockley, Craig's Creek, Wrightsville, doing Wrightsville's restroom floors, repainting the library at the middle school, just trying to touch up. We're not really getting into any classrooms at this time. I just don't have the time or the manpower or the budget to do classrooms. And classrooms at Christ Creek and Dockley really need a fresh coat of paint. So it was just not something I could get into this year. It might have to be, if we have another 5 or 8 years of Christ Creek and Dockley, we might have to spend some money to repaint this classroom.
You're gonna have another 5 or 8, so I put it in.
We might have to do a capital project to have a contractor come in and paint those classrooms. They are starting to show. The gym floor will be lettered. That will be finished. We're scheduled in the end of July. Remember, we're putting the lettering on the floor when we refinish it. The scoreboard for the high school, middle school are going. They're starting tomorrow, starting at the high school. Those getting installed. We're looking at removing dead trees at Dockley and some at Christ Creek, trying to trim trees back. And we talked about the parking lot lights at the high school, the carpet at the middle school. So it's kind of a lot of little projects going on here and there. And
Sound systems in the gym and auditorium in the back.
I'll follow up on those.
Oh, yeah, that's.
You're right.
And fobs at KC?
Yeah, I said that, Mr.
Oh, you-
I made sure I brought that up.
Those are the access controls.
Oh, those,
KC
okay.
access control
So you
upgrade.
changed name on it.
Bob door.
Pay
Because
attention.
you knew that was coming up, right?
Please pay
Yes.
attention, Mr. Reese.
Yes, I was. I did not understand access.
So the sound system is being done this summer?
That was approved. I'll follow up. I know Mr. Grubbs was kind of working over with that contractor, but I will follow up and I'll contact the contractor and see where he's at with that. I think they were probably waiting on material.
And Mrs. Weaver, can you shoot us an email on that? Just so that is a good question.
That wraps up summer project.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Any questions for Mr. Hoover on that?
Yeah,
Mrs. Whitman, Mrs.
back
Bowser.
on
Let's get Mrs. Bowser.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
She's been so quiet.
I just want to say the grounds for graduation look great. Love those flags. Thank you. Really made it. It was
In a
great.
pop.
Thank you.
Mr. Shelley?
Yeah, Todd, back to the middle school in the area that I'm concerned. I'm there twice every day, and it's pretty hard to get myself away from it. But you mentioned you're not going to fix the dock. Is that what do you call that?
It's a dock plate.
Yeah,
It's a
dock
dock
plate.
plate, yeah.
Okay. And it's rusted. And in fact, it's rusted down and come out, and you did what you could. I understand that. Would it be better to, rather than painting and worrying about this rust, because there's internal parts and, you know, the water gets in there and rust, tear it out and cement it back up and eliminate the problem forever?
It would, I mean,
Well,
it'll be at a cost. I mean, you're talking
Well,
about tearing everything out.
I understand, but if you're not using it and you're, I'm just asking you to look at it, that's all. It's just, that's what I would do if it was mine. I'd tear it out. If it don't work, don't tend to fix it.
Good for me, right? Mrs. Weaver.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Weaver, I guess we're going into the lease agreement with EYRA.
Yes, so just for some board members that haven't been here, currently the board does have a lease back from June 11th of 1996 with Hallam Rec Commission to use that field, the field down by, I just want to say, Lee Street.
You're talking about the baseball?
Yes, the baseball field, thank you. I'm going to call it something different.
The old high school?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I want to call it, and so I wasn't sure if people. So anyway, you have an agreement with Helen Rec, and it goes until August 31st of 2026. So basically, Helen Rec doesn't really exist anymore, other than to do the carnival. So Eastern North Rec Authority reached out and said, hey, would you consider, kind of the very similar lease agreement with us instead of Helen Rec? And then they want to do a sublease with EYRA with Helen Rec just for the carnival. So they had, I said, yeah, we're fine to do it, we're just not paying any attorney fees to do it. Do you want it? So they sent us that, the one that I attached there, which basically, to be really honest, is almost identical to what you had with Helen Rec from 1996.
They don't pay for attorneys either.
Basically, they'll take care of it, we don't really do anything, and they'll pay us, went from $1 to $10. So in the meantime, I did send it to Chris, who did have some concerns with it, so I did share with you Chris's revisions. And they basically really revolved around really having an out, because there is the PA Supreme Court did say that like one school board can't bind a school board out for like 30 years, but the other attorney that wrote this, there's some discussion on whether or not that's really true, because this is just property. That's kind of where it stands right now. I don't really need, I'm not really asking the board for approve it. It doesn't have to go on Thursday night. At this point, all the other changes from Chris were pretty much accepted, except the term, Chris asked.
Would there be a reason that any school board would want to deny the lease agreement?
Maybe you might want to put a building there, because you haven't been able to put it anywhere else. It's so.
I had to ask.
That came out really
Let's see,
like, I was being
it's
smart.
7.4 acres, 7.4 acres, how much do we need for that school?
But I was gonna say, but I'm sorry, that kind of came out really,
Yeah,
like, not how I meant it.
I'm really sorry I asked. It is.
I'm sorry, Richard, I'm
That's all
I
right.
really
Didn't
didn't think
expect
that
that at
was
all.
like that.
It was previewed as an option.
But it is only 7.4 acres, so, yeah, I mean,
It wasn't on my radar at all.
so, a future school board, I mean, maybe you wanna make it, practice fields and use, I mean, according to the current lease agreement, you can use it, we do send our teams down. to
Yeah, I throw it
practice.
for baseball team.
Yeah, we do.
I
But if
couldn't
you
think
wanted
of a
to make it
reason,
an
but-
outside facility or something, so, right now at this point, I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. Again, it's nothing that needs to be done this week. I think EYRA wants to get it done because they need it to get grant opportunities. And so that's kind of where we're at with it is, are they okay with the 12-month termination, or will their grants need them to have it to be a 20-year lease without a termination clause?
I
So-
don't think we would enter a lease without a termination clause.
Well, you have one right now. That's from
Well,
right.
the previous,
Yeah, I wasn't here for that.
Right,
so
no,
we
I'm
wouldn't
saying
have that.
that's right,
which is
so,
what the attorneys are arguing.
you've actually had several leases that go back that were like
Yeah.
forever. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, there needs to be a way out of it, so.
yeah, so, right now, that's what, kind of we're working around is, do their grants really need that? Do they just have to stipulate, that we're gonna terminate it for cause, or if we wanna need it? So that's kind of where we're at, and then the sublease, Mr. Harris really didn't have any concerns with the sublease. And obviously, we wouldn't necessarily be a party to the sublease, but I did wanna share that with you. But that's kind of where we're at, is just kind of finalizing those.
Is Helen Rec okay with subleasing it from EYRA
Yes,
for the carnival?
yes.
They're not worried that EYRA will say, no, you can't do it?
No,
Okay.
no, I think they're all on,
They're all,
the people included on the email are
a couple
everybody.
married to the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Sheldon.
Yes, sir.
Question for Mrs. Weaver. I'm a little confused, and maybe you can straighten me up here. Who is Eastern York Recreation, and who is Helm Recreation Commission? If I remember,
I'll try to straighten you out, but
Okay.
I may look to Mr. Keller, because he knows a
yeah,
little
well, I
better.
think he probably has.
Eastern York,
Actually, I can probably answer.
right, yeah, I mean, Eastern York Rec Authority kind of took over all the youth sports in the area. Am I correct in that?
Right, EYRA, Eastern York Recreation Authority is paid for by Lower Windsor and Helen Township. They both, all the residents contribute to that, and that's the organization that runs all the youth sports programs for those towns.
And that's where Wrightsville didn't join up with that.
Wrightsville did not join that, and, yeah, that's
Were
correct.
they given an opportunity?
I think, actually, East Prospect,
I figured that's what it
right,
was.
yeah, East Prospect also did not join
Did
that.
Curly?
No,
Crow's not in
It's
this
just-
tower.
Crowley's not a municipality.
Okay.
but East Prospect did, and I don't think York County did.
No, they went to
No.
York County, didn't
Right.
Teresa, it was my fault about asking about this.
they? Long level stayed down there.
Actually, Crayley Baseball on Long Level is now part of Eastern York Recreation.
Oh.
They joined up.
And Helen Rec really just exists for the carnival at this point.
Right, Helen Rec was just there to do the carnival.
That's all they do at this point.
Thank you for reading. I
It's
figured
been a
that's
while
what it
since
was.
we've actually talked about
I thought we had a
EYR.
representative on that.
No,
a
no.
long time ago.
No, that was when it was the
EYRC.
EYRC.
Actually, Mr. Keller was on that, wasn't he?
So was I.
He was.
And so was Mr. Malone.
So that's all I have for that then. I mean, more to come.
Okay. Got it. Any questions for Ms. Weaver on that?
I hope it gets more complicated.
It will. Okay, next item on the agenda, follow-up on the potential crossing from River Ridge Hills subdivision. I believe we were waiting for an email from Lower Windsor Township, Dr. Manguso. Did we receive anything?
We have not received any communication from Lower Windsor at this point, since the last time they were here. And they said that they would take the lead on setting up a meeting with us, and that has yet to occur.
Teresa, even any communication from the, what was it, like the builder or something?
No, I haven't received anything from the builder since my last
This
conversation.
was a big urgent thing, if we don't respond, what's going on?
Get him on the phone.
Did we hear anything from PennDOT, or hasn't PennDOT even been approached?
I don't even think they're involved yet.
As soon as we get information, we will be sure to share that with you.
Okay. We should give that a master letter and get them review it again.
Okay. Let's see, curriculum and instruction? Nothing tonight? Okay. Policies,
Nothing I
Mr.
know
Reese?
of.
Athletics, co-curricular?
I think everybody has a copy of what the cost would be for the scorekeepers. I did talk to a couple other head coaches, and they admit having kids do it has created an issue.
Say it again?
Having kids keep the scorebooks. Because like they said, one of the things that, like the county league does, okay, how many goals does this person have? And they come back to us, and we really aren't sure, for all-star teams. So she has it broken down. Is it 6,400?
This is a
Yeah.
new,
It's
For everybody.
$6,460.
Oh,
That's
okay, yeah.
without the benefits attached, that's just straight salary. And then I was asked what what we pay currently, and currently for 22-23, we pay $3,002. Again, that's just straight salary, not any benefits added.
Now, give me and don't, I think I know all of this. I think I know all of this. Can you hear me, Mr.
Yeah.
Shelley? But can you just give me a brief 30-second why we need to pay for a scorekeeper or timekeeper, whatever it is? Get me back up to speed on this again, please.
When you have students keep the books, the students are involved watching the game, they're not paying attention, and then when it comes down to how many goals somebody has, how many saves they have, that's not correct information. So when the county comes back and says, okay, how many goals did this person score? Well, we really don't know because the student is.
It's ambiguous.
It's an official record, you're saying.
Right.
Right, and that helps scholarships and it goes down the pipe from there.
Yes.
So this money, although not a lot, $3 more grand more?
Yeah, three
No, it's,
thousand more.
no, it's
That's what we're
6460 more plus benefits, a total of about 8,500 more.
Well, but say we were paying 3,000, and now you're gonna pay 6,460.
No, the 3,000 wasn't included in the 6460.
Oh, okay.
6460 is
Oh,
just the sports.
Why are we
that
paying
don't have
benefits?
it.
for
Yeah,
something?
that was
Oh, I meant FICA, state, the tax.
Oh.
Oh, that's not benefits,
No.
that's
Well,
a,
yeah, I was just saying this was just gross
Now,
38 times the number
The
of
3,000 is the scorekeepers that we are
currently paying. So
for
next year,
their
if you do,
duties.
like this year, if you wanted to do it, it would be the total of the 9,000 plus the FICA.
I'm gonna
This is
say
not
one
budgeted.
thing.
This is not budgeted. I will
I'm
say.
all for athletics, I'm all for whatever we need to do is correct, but I will tell you, I don't believe we've ever had a kid come through here
that lost a chance to play in college because the stats were wrong, that the kids were keeping stats. I don't buy that at all. I don't think, so I don't think that's a
Well, who
reason.
brought this to our attention that they needed?
The stats may be
Professional
somewhat
sport.
wrong, but I wouldn't say that about a kid going to college.
I would say that it's more of, we have these banners in the gym and someone is having 1,000 score points in basketball and the same equal opportunity for lacrosse and they don't have 100 goals. Well, this person thought, oh, I have 100 goals, but the score record says, no, you didn't have 100 goals. So now they're not getting their name on the banner. And now
Well, they don't have a
parents are
banner for
disappointed.
that in lacrosse. No, I'm not saying they shouldn't, they don't have that banner for that. But 100 goals is a big deal.
And
I'm
isn't
not
that
saying
equal
that.
to 1,000? That's what the
I wouldn't
parents.
say that. I wouldn't
Let me
say
ask you a
that.
question
Not-
then,
Not in
Jason.
lacrosse.
I don't really have
It's
a
not
huge
higher.
opinion one way or the other, but my question is on this. I understand the students, but we have some pretty responsible students lying around. Do we really need to pay, is pay in adulthood gonna make it better? Does that make sense?
Well, I can answer that, no, because you're not gonna change anything. All you're gonna do is pay the kids. The kids are still gonna do it, and they're gonna still do this, kids are kids are kids.
No, we're not
That's
paying
the
the
way it
kids.
is.
We're paying them.
And, no, but I'm just saying, just to pay them isn't gonna correct the problem.
No.
No, well,
It's,
hey,
right
that-
now, we have kids doing it. We're talking about hiring adults that are professionals to do it, rather than having kids do it.
Professional, come on, Richard.
Well, that's what my question is. What might change? Because we got some,
Here's another scenario with baseball, and I'll give you my child as an example. He's committed already for basketball and baseball at Marywood. And his Marywood baseball coach was saying, hey, how's your season? Well, he was pitching and the stats weren't correct. And so Marywood coach is looking at his stats thinking, oh my God, this is terrible.
was it egregiously wrong?
Yeah, it was egregiously wrong. And so he's embarrassed to even say, well, these stats aren't really right. You can't really do that. And it's a whole conversation. And now you're just doing this justice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I
And
think,
then the newspapers pick it up. Newspapers are real, they're just digital now. And they're gonna continue to be digital.
Our coaches should be doing a better job at that too, then, of making sure that the stats are not that far off either, I would say. You know what I mean? They
Well, then it
should.
comes down on the coaches having accountability,
is it really that hard to do?
I don't think it is, but I'm not, but that doesn't mean, I could see a kid not doing it accurately. I could see that. I wouldn't think it would be hard to do.
I don't
But
know.
when you get kids there, like for baseball, it's a game and who's ever not batting or not up, they're just passing the score, they're passing the scoreboard back and forth with one another,
Well, why don't,
It's not the school board's responsibility or job to do something like you're trying to do here tonight. This gotta come through an athletic department suggestion, it's gotta come through, the athletic director, and they should be here telling us what they're gonna do and why they need to pay these kids. That's not our, that's not what we get paid for.
kids aren't.
That's not our job. Yeah, here we're arguing amongst ourselves and I don't see anybody from the athletic department. Nobody.
We're not micromanaging the process, I don't think.
Well,
unless
except
it's-
for we haven't heard from the athletic director.
No.
Speak up, guys.
No,
Well, you don't
John,
have to,
no, John, what, go ahead, John.
if you want everybody.
No, my comment is that it sounds to me like the athletic director should be talking to the board
Well, sir.
about this issue.
Certainly. It shouldn't be argued here because we
You're right.
don't know what we're talking about.
Well, where did this solution come from, Jim? The idea of paying these people?
Let them do their job.
It came through the coaches, and I'd asked Donnie to get the information. And that's where we started it. We have some, remember, Donnie went out, we had a survey done for the whole county. Some schools pay for it.
Yeah, athletic director.
Donnie's the athletic director. Some schools pay for every sport. Some schools
We're only
pay,
looking at varsity.
yeah, we're just talking about, some schools don't pay for anybody. So, I mean, it's a mishmash of, everybody does something different.
It's up to him to
The only
bring it in
question-
here,
I'm sorry.
what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
Can you recognize me?
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were.
No, I was interrupting
Let Richard
everybody, I
talk.
just tried to do it the right
Go
way.
ahead, Mr.
Awesome. My only question is, if we spend the money, is it gonna be accurate? That's really my only question. We're paying for the accuracy of the student records for them to go on. Is that kind of where we're at? That's the bottom line. So,
And I do think stats are important, I'm not saying.
yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not saying that kids'
But
accomplishments aren't
but you're
important.
saying that in your experience, you haven't heard of anybody being negatively impacted because we haven't
You said
paid.
about Kyle,
But she said
I
that she
feel
has
like
a
that, I feel
firsthand,
that's wrong.
yeah, she has firsthand experience saying it's wrong. Anyway, but we're only talking about $8,500, is that where we're at?
No, 6,000,
Or
6,400.
No, it'll be
No,
about
not in that.
8,500 with the taxes in there, it is about 8,500.
Okay,
Right.
6,400.
She called it benefits, I called it,
Well, the taxes and all that.
yeah, 7%.
Aren't,
Rick-
isn't that a
Richard,
benefit to you?
I'm going back and forth, because I can remember, back in my days, I was the manager and I had to keep stats. To me, that is one of the big keys for the coach, is you get a manager and you train them how to do it. But that has become an issue because we don't have a lot of kids that want to be managers.
Well,
So they just grab a kid off, or sometimes
Or the
they take a
injured
player.
Yeah.
Here, you keep it. And so that's
I
an
know if I
issue.
didn't, I'd screw
And
it up.
so here's the thing, it's not equal. And not that everything has to be equal, but when you have track times, would you ever think, oh, that's a minute wrong or that's a second wrong? That's a big deal in track. So if you're talking about baseball and having different ERA and I don't know what else, but that's different. Like how many goals, how many saves on the cross? You know,
And also field hockey.
We have a field hockey girl that has, she's up for athlete of the year, and she wouldn't have gotten that if the stats weren't correct.
If I'm correct, Jim, then the only thing we may learn from Don
The athletic director.
is really, he's already looked out there, what they're doing, and all of that jazz. We're not gonna learn anything new. Do you think we're gonna learn anything new?
The only thing I'd like to hear from him is alternatives on how he thinks he can resolve the problem. I don't think we should be sitting here resolving his problem. I think he should be telling us what he thinks
Well, I
needs to be
think he's
done.
already told us what he thinks what other schools do to resolve the problem,
He told 8
so
board members.
Well,
my thought, what's that?
He's told 8 board members something.
Right.
Can this question about this generated at the board level.
Yes.
And so if you want to refer that back to the athletic department, we can do that. But just, it started here with the question about whether and how we pay scorekeepers. So that was the research that was done, that was brought back for the board. If the board wishes to have additional information and have the athletic director here discuss and make a recommendation, then we can make that happen in August at the next meeting, if that's
This
what
doesn't
the
have to
wish
be
is.
done, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
No, I think
I
it's gonna
agree,
be a
but-
split vote. I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah. Look, I'm agreeing that something has to be done, but all I'm saying is, I'd like the athletic director to tell us what he thinks should be done. I don't think we should be sitting here trying to figure that out.
sounds good.
I guess what is the point of the co-curricular meeting being now if he's not present? Or does it go through you? I'm confused with I guess I'm confused with the process.
Well, we're just starting this
I know.
process as co-curricular is at this board meeting. That might be a good thing, that Donnie should be here.
I think I think as we progress, if there is an item that is related to athletics, then his presence should be
Yeah,
there.
for this magnitude.
Yeah.
And we only want to justify the expense and see what the impact is on the students. I can't,
He's currently out of the office right now, but that doesn't mean somebody.
couldn't represent him. so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Who would represent?
The assistant
Well, he can't-
AD.
and
The high school principal can, because the high school principal is essentially the overseer of all athletics.
So he could be,
Scorekeeper.
so he could.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Yep.
He said the scorekeeper.
I know, I heard him. Bad.
Oh, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, I mean, Mr. Knob may come back and say, hey, you know what? Let's pay kids to be managers and actually assign them the task of doing that. And they have to learn the job and do it accurately. And if that's the case, I'd much rather see us pay some kids than pay a bunch of
You
adults.
said some
$30.
schools do.
I think some schools do pay students to keep,
Right.
who are not involved with the team. Maybe somebody who has an
Right,
interest
and
in
not players,
baseball,
not
and they know
players.
how to keep score, and then they will score the game and get paid the same, they can get paid the same amount, but there's somebody who really just, their interest level is at doing that.
Like stats?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just working our way through this new process.
Right, so I think I think Mr. Knob should plan on being at our next meeting
August meeting.
to present us with what he thinks would be reasonable solutions to this. Everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah, because then we can ask our questions directly to him.
Absolutely. Okay,
Very good, John, you're my hero.
all right. It looks like that, unless anybody has any other issues they want to bring up, that's going to conclude our operations meeting. However, we will be going into executive session to discuss a matter of personnel.